What's up, guys? Welcome to the last episode of The Rundown.
I'm Will.
I'm Sam.
Today we're joined by our friend Jonah.
What's up?
Today we're going to talk about how video game equipment has evolved and also how, more specifically, the competitive sports gaming scene has developed and is still changing.
All right, you guys want to talk about how sports have implemented simulations?
Yeah, I can talk about that a little bit. So my experience mainly is based off kind of the racing community. Avid racer, love driving cars, as weird as that is. And I've been as I've done it more and more, I've gotten more involved in the competitive industry within it. Not that I'm ever going to be good enough to join it, but I can still watch and act like I'm good enough sometimes. So yeah, it's really cool. So I do it on a platform called iRacing. It is the official simulator of NASCAR. If anyone knows what NASCAR is, you drive in circles for hours and hours, called a race. Really entertaining. It is for me. I couldn't tell you why.
Marathon style.
Yeah. But it's cool. So I can literally jump on the simulation whenever I want and drive around, do some races, and I can race against some of the top people on the sim just totally by random. I can race against some real life drivers who are on there all the time. It's cool. And the whole esports industry behind it has been running for I think over 10 years now. And some of the champions have actually gone on to become real life racing drivers. So I can talk about that later.
I think that's cool how sports have started to implement sims like that, and how you mentioned real life drivers are on there a lot, trying to practice, because it is actually a good tool for practice.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so I've raced against a bunch of them, some of the top level competition, champions in the NASCAR Cup Series. I've raced with them. I've had one of them push me to a win before. Not gonna flex. Thanks, Ryan Priest. But it was so you can just randomly run into them. I've run into just the most random NASCAR drivers. You'll sign up for an 11:15 C fixed race, racing some NASCAR trucks, and next thing you know, you see William Byron, who's one of the best guys on the sim, who actually went from a sim racing champion to becoming a NASCAR Cup driver, a winner in the NASCAR Cup Series.
So he got a start in iRacing?
He got his start on iRacing.
That's so
great.
He is
one of the best iRacers out there. Him and another guy named Ty Majeski, who also still races in NASCAR. They have I can explain the iRating system, but they have over 10,000 iRating, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
And they literally went from driving, I think Byron won the I want to say 2013, the crown of the esports champion. It's the peak antifreeze series at the time. He went from winning that to getting up, going through the ranks, because there's a bunch of rankings in NASCAR. It's like anything else where you got to start low, you start local stuff, and then you get higher and higher and higher. And he had enough funding, and he ran well enough to where he's now a driver for one of the best teams at the cup level, and he's a winner. And you'll still see him on iRacing. Some of my friends texted me the other night that they were like, "Oh, William Byron's running the CFix, you should come join us." I was sleeping. But it was a random 12 a.m. race at Charlotte when he's racing there in 3 days.
Yeah.
And he was just out on the sim, and one of my friends actually beat him. So
that's so cool. I think that goes to show just how realistic these sims are getting.
Yeah, because when you say racing on the sim, it's a full setup and everything.
Yeah, it's a full setup. Yeah, so I can explain that a little bit, because there's different levels. There's my level, and there's what everyone else uses.
Yeah.
So my level is, I have an older wheel. I got it I think 6-7 years ago. It is taped to a small desk. The clamps are broken, and it just it moves around. I have to retape it sometimes because the tape will break. And I use that. I drive around and I compete with people who are on thousands and thousands of dollars rigs. It's evolved from having wheels like that, Logitech G29 is what it's called.
And Sam and I have seen this. We can attest to how janky it is.
And they've driven on it. It's very interesting. But it's gone from that to now there's motion rigs, where literally they have you can get stuff installed, thousands of dollars, of course, where you have a motion rig, so you're feeling all the motion in the track and stuff, which can be simulated through a wheel. I can feel it through a wheel, but you're getting jostled around and stuff by the bumps and stuff because
like your whole seat is moving, right?
Your whole seat's moving.
Whoa.
Yeah, and normally you'll have like triple monitors, or you can do it in VR as well. VR is very big in the racing community. I personally can't do it; it makes me sick. But yeah, so you can go from something like that, like these massive rigs that are built for these NASCAR drivers to do like tests and simulations and stuff, to down to someone with me, like an entry level. Probably got like a $250 wheel for my birthday one year, and I'm out here racing with guys that are on like thousands and thousands of dollar rigs.
Because I was gonna ask about that. Like, how realistic is like this? Because like you've driven a NASCAR car, right?
Yes, yeah,
Like how does it transfer over kind of?
Yeah, so it's shocking because what they do is they laser scan all the tracks. So they'll like literally drive something around the tracks, laser scan it, so you can feel like everything within the track. So a couple weeks ago, I got to drive a NASCAR. It was like a NASCAR racing experience. It was for my 18th birthday. My parents got it for me. And I raced around Pocono, which is one of the more unique tracks on the circuit. It's like a triangle. Most of them are normally ovals. And I got to like actually drive a real NASCAR around it. And it was weird because I've turned thousands of laps there on the sim because it's like one of my favorite tracks. It's my home track. First race I ever went to was there, 2008 or 2009. Oh, wow. Yeah, I was young. And or maybe it may have been 2010. I don't remember.
Still a long time ago.
Still a long time ago. And I've gone to a bunch since, but it's like you feel on the simulator like they tried to relay things like the bumps, the banking, so you kind of can like feel what your car does. And I think seeing that in real life was so like it was different, but it was shocking how realistic it was. Like
Like it felt familiar?
It felt so familiar. Like I know going through one of the turns, it's like known to be a bumpy turn. And on the simulator, you know, like you can't go full throttle through. You got to lift. And there's all these different things. If you hit the bumps too hard, your car will get loose or you'll go up the track and hit the wall. Didn't do that actually. Not trying to wreck these things. But like going through that turn, like in the NASCAR going 140, 150 miles per hour, like you felt those bumps. And I was like, I've felt these before. Like it's weird. Of course, there's some things they can't simulate, like the G-forces you really feel in a car, even not going full speed. I was like 50 miles per hour off pace because they don't let you go full speed. But like the G-forces you feel turning into the banking and stuff are crazy. But even just the way the car reacts is like, I was surprised at how similar it was. Like it can never be fully like redone.
I mean, yeah.
But it's like, I gained a new appreciation for it. Didn't make me any better of a driver. Like I tried on the sim, I pulled some laps, like I was no better than I was beforehand, but like it was cool to see what that was like
but
how much translated.
Would you say the reverse is true, that the sim has made you a better driver in real life?
Oh, absolutely. Just because of how much I'm driving on that thing. It's like, you know, if I ever feel my real life car doing something not supposed to, like I know how to like kind of yank the wheel a little bit. I mean, maybe it makes me a worse driver because it makes me want to drive faster. But yeah, no, I think I was like comfortable with a steering wheel and stuff before I started driving, which is like it made when I started actually driving on the road just so much more easier. Like I have better depth perception and I understand more like I don't know,
like awareness and stuff.
Yeah, awareness and stuff because like you're always thinking 2 steps ahead while you're racing because there's always some random idiot that decides to come flying up the track and try to kill you.
Just like real life.
I know. It's not a simulation anymore.
We can talk a little about the physics engine. Like, how real is it?
Yeah, so they have their own physics engine. So there's like a bunch of different ones out there. That kind of gets into the whole like game versus simulation, which is a big thing in the racing community. Because you have like your racing games that are like your Forza Horizons, most NASCAR games are like game.
That's about as far as I've gotten into racing games.
That's like they're like arcade games, like you know the arcade games that you normally see.
They're made to be fun, not to be.
Yeah, realistic. They're made to be fun, not to be competitive. Although they try to do competitive stuff with it, it is terrible. Wow. But then you have like your games, like your iRacing, Gran Turismo, which you guys don't know, Project Cars, which is what I started on. That was the first game I played. Games like that, which are made to feel more realistic, and the engines they use, they make it seem like really realistic. Like. You have NASCAR drivers out here like on the simulation saying that like this can help them. Yeah. Like they did a whole like they got iRacing did something cool, which is during COVID when they canceled all the races, they got all the NASCAR drivers together in simulators and had them all race against each other and do like these virtual races. they're terrible because like half these guys have never driven this stuff before. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, some of these guys are like 40 something years old. They don't know how to drive like on a simulation. But it was crazy to see like even some of the guys that have never done it before take some of their real life talent and translate it on a sim because it's how close and realistic it is.
Mhm. I know we were talking earlier about how many professional players use the simulations to help. And that reminds me of kind of golf because I know a lot of top golfers are always on like the sim.
Yeah.
And
the TrackMan. I mean, it's like it's become a huge part of golf. I'd even say in baseball, it's become like a huge part of it, all the technology behind it. So like they use a lot of the simulation stuff to simulate like, I don't know what would happen if you hit a ball like this.
Yeah. I think that's cool. And like how they've implemented it into like watching sports on TV and stuff. And like you can see all the players' numbers and stuff and see like the strike box and stuff.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm kind of looking to like study in college is like how these different technological things like allow for sports to be evolved. It's like such a growing industry, sports analytics. So that's something I'm super passionate
about. It is
awesome.
A very interesting thing. What else were we going to talk about? I had another point I was going to come up with. Sorry, give me a second. You guys can keep talking.
I mean, like, I think we mostly focus on like racing right now. But like, is there anything like a different like sports?
Yeah, no. Most sports games like have some sort of competitive industry. Like most of them suck. Like they're not good. Like I've seen like Madden tournaments and stuff because Madden's been around for years. So you have like professional Madden players. They're calling like the same 3 plays because they're like broken. But like, you know, EA. Yeah. Wow. It's a struggle.
I feel like racing is the only kind of like sports game I guess that is like it has like that realistic of like a simulation, if that makes sense. Like other games don't really have like simulations.
Yeah, I mean I think unless you're getting into like FPS games, like certainly there's like some like I don't know. I think we were talking about beforehand that like you can use like you use VR and stuff for like military training and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about.
Yeah, but I think like out of the sports like gaming industry, I think racing has like the most realistic simulation. So like it's esports series. I mean, like I think the prize was like over $300,000 now, and you have like these champions going on to do like other successful things. Like you can make a living out of just like racing, iRacing, and I know some of the guys who do it currently. One of my good friends who I've been like racing with for a while now, he's gonna be there next year and competing for money and stuff. So, but yeah, like I think like even in the MLB community, because I know a lot about it because I've always played baseball video games, like it's still up and coming. Like Madden is like kind of dying. I don't know enough about like FIFA and stuff to like really talk about like the competitive industry, but like I don't know, EA games just don't have the kind of industry because of just how they're arcade games. They're
not meant to be simulated.
It's like you were saying, like games versus simulations. Those are definitely like simulations.
Yeah, and as much as like this is marketed towards consumers, like you have to pay a lot of money. Yeah. Like I've spent way too much money on this thing. Like it still has like you can utilize it to simulate the most realist things, and like there's a huge skill gap. Like in Madden, you can call plays past the right guy and you're fine. Like there's not enough of a skill gap to really make things competitive. But while in like iRacing, like you go from people who are like 0 to 500 iRating who literally cannot hold a car in a straight line to guys like you get up like over 5,000 iRating, which is like what a lot of my friends are like. There's such a small difference, but you look at them compared to like the 0 to 500. Like you guys saw, like I ran like 2 seconds quicker than you on like an oval track, and that was just like me turning hot laps. And it comes down to like like literally it comes down to like managing like your tires and tire pressures, tire temperatures, like all these things that you never think about if like you are not competitive. Like one of the biggest things is all about who can scrub their tires the least. Because you want to maintain speed, but you also don't want to wear tires. Like you can literally drive the car differently to wear different tires based on the track. Yeah. Like it's stuff like that. So
many different variables.
There's so many different variables and nuances, and there's a lot of strategy behind it, pit strategy, fuel strategy, to where like at that top level, like you look at them compared to the people that are barely holding a wheel. And like, I think it's the greatest like skill difference I've seen, except for maybe FPS games with people are just like, cracked. So I think that's like in the sports industry, I think that's like you can have the most successful you can be successful because of how amazing these top people are, and like how like this simulation not only caters to the beginners but caters to them as well.
Yeah, you talked a second ago about the military thing. That's something I wanted to bring up. How the U.S. military, or it might be SWAT teams. I saw an article and it was like they're using VR simulation to like practice clearing buildings and stuff. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
How kind of gaming technology has bled into like real life situations.
Yeah.
How they're using that as a tool now.
Imagine like Ready or Not on VR.
I mean, like, it's interesting, but I don't know. I don't know how much it actually helps. Like how good of an idea it is, at least currently, to do. Something like that.
I think for clearing buildings and stuff, like those fake buildings they have to make are like expensive and take up a lot of space and stuff. So I think having a VR
that probably
is just probably cheaper.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I guess. So I guess it, like for things if it's like, I don't know if this makes sense, but I guess for like practicing technique or like things like that, or like just like mental preparation things, I guess maybe VR can like be really effective. I feel like it's just like it can't model real life.
Yeah,
a lot of times I don't know.
But VR is getting more and more realistic too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're starting to add like haptic feedback and stuff for commercial use only, not for the wider audience. But you mentioned before like how whole setups now vibrate and move with you.
Yeah, no, like I know, like especially during COVID when like drivers were first coming back to tracks, like there was no practice and stuff. They didn't have time to like make setups. Like they have these crazy VR simulations. I know pretty much every manufacturer, which is like Chevrolet, Toyota, and Ford, have these like crazy simulators with top of the line equipment that like you can't find anywhere else to like simulate what their cars will do in development. Which is something that was big because NASCAR just came out with a new generation of car, the next gen car, which is somewhat different, somewhat the same, but it changed racing a lot. And a lot of these guys were on the simulator testing it because it was like they brought it into iRacing first, which is something that they've just started doing. One of the tracks, Atlanta Motor Speedway, just had a reconfiguration, and the way they modeled it is they tested it in iRacing with this new car because they had the physics kind of translated over to see what it would be like and what racing it would produce. So it was able to kind of simulate that, and then it was emulated. They did the conversion. They made it into this, like it used to be kind of flatter. They raised the bankings, and now it allows for drivers to race more flat out and closer together. But they did this all like through iRacing. Like they went to iRacing, like we have this idea. iRacing was able to build it from the ground up, and then they then took that project from iRacing, put it into real life. Of course, made some adjustments because it's not 100% perfect, but like they were able to see what it was going to do, and they thought it was like very accurate, and they created this whole new speedway like from a game. So yeah, and I think like VR especially, like I've tried VR racing before. Like it made me sick.
VR makes me sick too.
Yeah, I know. I get motion sickness. Like I can't do it, unfortunately, but I have friends that do it, and from my time trying it, like it's crazy looking around while you're in a car because like for me it's like I'll look at another monitor or like I'll look left or right on I have wheel buttons that can look left or right, but like in real life it's like it's cool how it's
a different experience.
It's a different experience by far.
Yeah, but VR is getting more and more realistic, and the haptic like seat movement and your wheel is haptic too.
Yeah,
you can feel the vibrations.
Yep.
And I know that they've recently made like these gloves that make you feel objects in VR, like it resists.
Oh, that's cool.
That is cool.
So like you grab something and your fingers are like stopped by the motors.
Yeah, that's dope.
And they also have added like these vest things where you can feel like touch in VR.
I've seen those, yeah.
Are gonna create like a whole ass bodysuit to like get you in the
exactly.
metaverse.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. VR as like a type of gaming is pretty like fresh still. It's like
it is fresh,
and, like,
but it's getting really popular. Like VR chat.
Yeah, it's definitely getting super popular.
I know VR chat is. You don't have to have a VR headset to use that, but it's super popular, and a lot of people are on there. It's like a big community.
Yeah. I was like, I know some friends that have VR and like they always play these VR games. Like they'll stream it in Discord sometimes, like when they're not racing with it. So like even seeing it is like cool, and like all the technology that's been like evolved. Like there are places, like there's a place in New York City called VR World, where literally you can go and you just try out all of these different VR games. Like I did that with my camp. It was like one of the craziest things ever. They have anything from like racing to like those plank walks to like literally any game imaginable. Like, and they have like tons and tons of these VR headsets. Like you can try it out. So like that's like my experience with VR, but like it's crazy.
Yeah, the technology is going rapidly developing, and there's a lot of things to consider because there's the resolution of the screen on the inside. So basically the way VR works is that you have two screens on the inside and like these little lenses over your eyes. And so the resolution of the screens, it's very difficult to get a high resolution in VR because it's such a small thing and it needs to fit on your face. But I know like the Valve's headset, the Valve Index, that has one of the best resolutions and hertz of any VR headset because, and it costs a lot too. But,
it makes sense.
And typically the way VR works is you have a headset and then controllers in either hand. But Oculus, which is another like leading company in that, have been trying to get rid of the controllers. So it's just your headset and you don't have any sensors on the walls or anything to see where you are. It's all from the headset. So you just put the headset on and it like scans the room around you and then it can like see your hands when you move. So you can like touch things and interact with them without a controller.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was like, I only know with like those like handheld.
The hand
things,
things, like
the Beat Saber stuff.
That's still, I think that's still really in development though. Like there's only a few, there's a few demos.
It can't be like that good yet.
It's like if your hand's right in front of you and you like touch something in the game, then it'll respond.
Yeah.
But so it's like, was VR even like, when did VR like first officially like come out to the public? Like could have been more than
probably like the 2010s.
Pretty recently.
Yeah, I was gonna say could have been more than like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was probably about 10 years ago.
And it's already gotten to the point where like they're trying to make it so like you can detect stuff around you.
Now a lot of people have VR headsets. I mean, I have a VR headset. My cousin has one, and I know he loves it. He's younger, but he likes walking around and he plays a game called Rec Room, which is like just a bunch of mini games.
I think it's a lot more. I get in a way it's a lot more accessible, honestly, because like obviously like price wise is not, but because I think it's a lot easier for like,
it's more user friendly.
Yeah, it's a lot easier for someone to play, like someone that doesn't have experience playing games or anything, to like start off with a VR game because like
because it simulates real life.
Because it's just like it's intuitive. It's like if you want to grab something, you just grab it. You don't have to be like, oh, generally in a game you press F to grab something or something like that. Yeah, it's just like a lot more open for people to kind of like be able to start playing games, I guess. And also it's just a lot more immersive because like it's obviously like it's you moving, it's your body. And like I only tried VR like I think like once or twice, and like it's like really different.
It is different, and I think you don't get as sick if you do it more often and you have a nicer headset. Because I remember when I first started, I was like, I couldn't be more than like 5 minutes in before I had to take it off. Yeah. But then I used it more, and now I can like maybe last 30 minutes without having to take a break.
Improvement.
But it's still pretty bad.
Yeah. I think it's a common issue. Like I said earlier, I think like motion sickness for VR.
You want to talk about virtual cycling?
I mean, I don't actually really know much about it.
I know
it's just like another, what's it called? Like virtual sport, competitive like sport.
How does that even work? Like, how do you virtually cycle? Like, are you like
you're on you're on a stationary bike?
Yeah, you're on a stationary bike racing as other people. Yeah, and like a VR headset.
Yeah,
I don't even think it's like a VR headset.
I don't think it's a VR headset.
Like this is all going off of my like memory of seeing some random thing. I don't remember.
Of course.
I just remember. I think I was telling him earlier. Like this, I only know about this because of like a video I saw saying how there's like a cheating scandal because someone was like robo doping, almost like virtual doping.
Yeah.
Because I think it was like he won the world cycling tournament or something for like virtual cycling, but he had, I think it like simulates different bikes onto your setup.
Yeah.
Kind of like racing, like normal racing setups, I guess. But what he did was like he like got a bike that was like super hard to get or something. Like he changed the values of like his bike or like the resistance and the speed. I don't know.
Yeah,
there's stuff like that.
Yeah, that's happened before in like iRacing and stuff. There's been major controversy over like grip hacks because like you're like, oh well, grip hacks you just like go full speed around the track, but like you can like you can get minimal grip hacks that can do like certain things to your car that just like it's not even noticeable that you have them, but you're still able to benefit off them. So like there have been a lot of like cheating scandals and stuff with these drivers that are like, are they using some sort of grip hacks or like how are they getting their car to handle like this when no one else is able to? Like what they do differently? A lot of it's in the setup. Like I can't remember a major controversy, at least in the last like 2 or 3 years, but like in the beginning, like I know like NR 2003, NASCAR Racing 2003 was like the first like iteration of iRacing made in 2003. Still has an amazing community today that I still do. It's like a 20-year-old game that has better physics engines than most games in 2020 racing. Yeah, and it was like the predecessor to iRacing, but like I know people on that game who have like they have these different like iterations of the games, like little exe files of the game that just like have different animations. So like they can jump into a session and go like 500 miles per hour around the track, and like a random car one's going like 180. It's like stuff like that. Like they were able to find ways to do it in that game, and people found ways to do it in iRacing as well. There's been some major scandals with it.
I can see how racing would be a difficult like sport to tell if someone's cheating or not.
Yeah, it's hard to regulate. I mean, most of the problems like on iRacing are like with people just like intentionally wrecking each other because people get mad and they're just like, I'm gonna kill them, like just crash them.
Well, yeah, it's virtual. It's
like virtual racing, but like especially like the top level or in leagues and stuff, people are like they don't want to condone that kind of racing.
That makes sense, yeah.
And then also like I don't know, people report people for like jumping restarts or changing lanes, like the most dumbest things. Driving on the apron, I've seen one of my friends get suspended for. It's like iRacing has these like rules that they don't want you to follow, but like they're not actually like in the game. Like you can pass someone like in NASCAR. There's a big rule like on restrictor plate tracks, which are like the biggest tracks where everyone's super close together. You're not supposed to pass below this double yellow line. There's a double yellow line on the track, and you cannot go below it and advance your position. Now that rule is technically on iRacing, but you can do it and get away with it. Yeah. Because like there's nothing in the game that's like you pass below the yellow line, you now get a black flag for it. Like you can get something for like speeding through pit road and stuff, but like if I'm going down to make a pass, like coming to the finish and I go below the yellow line, the double yellow line, like it can't give me a black flag for it. So people like protest each other over that and like get them suspended on the simulation for weeks. Like there have been people that have been suspended for years over this kind of stuff.
Oh my god!
Like the dumbest things. Account sharing too is a terrible issue where like you can give your account to someone else. Like it's bad in all games, but especially in iRacing, like you know, you're trying to make this like next round of Road to Pro, which like all the drivers can compete in. Like you give your account to a pro driver to like run that race, you run really well, you get enough points, you make it. It's like
it's kind of like boosting.
It's boosting. Like people have been banned for years and have come back after it. Even just like simplest things of just like not using your name, just like using random names. The amount of just meme names I've seen on iRacing is insane.
Mitch Hobbs, for example.
My lovely alias.
Yeah, not a meme. That's serious.
That's a serious topic.
Serious topic.
Yeah, what else was there?
I have a random. How realistic is Trackmania?
Yeah.
How realistic is that?
Not at all. It's
okay.
Yeah.
But Trackmania is so
We're not
cool.
realistic, but like how
Yeah, I've never played it personally. I watch all the like the virtual videos.
Yeah.
Like because I just think he's awesome.
I didn't mean realistic. I realize now you're like flying through the air and trying to
you're
not realistic.
Like you're going like 500 miles per hour.
Yeah, it's not realistic at all, but I guess it's more like how I don't know what the word is. Like how much do you know how much it kind of like utilizes this setup, if that makes sense? Like
I don't know. Like I don't
pretty sure it's just keyboard.
Yeah, I think it is keyboard.
It's literally just arrow keys.
Oh.
I think it's arrow keys, but like even again, that's like something where people like literally slow down the game to get like perfect precise movements. It's the same thing with like an iRacing thing where like you're fighting for precision. The person that can be the most precise for the longest amount of time is like the best. because there's like a massive like speed running industry in that, like
Yeah.
people that competitively speed run for that game. So I don't know, it's like it's definitely like an arcade version of like a racing game. I don't know, it's hard to even call it a racing game.
That's true. Yeah.
It is kind of its own
It's
thing.
like its own thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like in other games you mentioned the cheating. In other games it's a lot more obvious when someone's cheating.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see how in iRacing or racing games in general, like just slight little differences could give someone an advantage.
Yeah.
Like a pretty big advantage
Yeah.
without it being very noticeable. Yeah, have you ever encountered someone with grip packs or something that you were saying?
I mean, you always speculate people, but it's like it's so uncommon. Like I mean, like
it's the
I've
same as every game.
Yeah, I've seen people that do it and just like
Always
go
speculate.
flying around the crowd and
Yeah.
track at 200 miles per hour, and you're just like,
Oh, okay.
he's obviously trying to get banned. Like it's stuff like that. But then you hear these murmurs of like these pro drivers having some sort of like they have these different ways to just like, it's hard to fathom sometimes how you can do the exact same thing as a pro driver and be so significantly slower.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
I can follow their line, I can do their exact throttle inputs. Like I can try to like emulate exactly what they do, and like my tires will be shot after like 5 laps, and these guys are able to do this for like 40 straight laps,
Mhm.
Man, I
and
feel like
their
that's why-
tires don't completely fall off a cliff.
That's like racing in general. I feel like it's like
Yeah.
the concept is so simple. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so
you're driving.
It's so
But-
simple, but like that's the reason why like I have like my peak I rating is about 4,000, which puts me in about the top like 5% ish. But like even the difference between me and like those guys that are 8,000-9,000, one of my good friends just hit 9,000 I rating actually last night. He is the 5th driver to do so, and
Wow.
Oh wow.
like I'll race against him. We were on the same team at one point. We were on the same team, and he's now gone other places, better teams, and now he's gonna become pro. But like I've raced against him before. I've followed him. I've been on the exact same setup as him,
Mm-hmm.
like literally following him, doing his exact thing. And by the end of the run, he'll pull like 5 seconds on me. And I'm just like, I don't know how you do it. Like, what am I not doing here?
Yeah.
Like, I'm following your line. I'm not going faster than you. I'm trying to save my tires the best I can. And he's just able to pull away. So it's stuff like that where like people get like speculate about grip hacks and stuff, but it's just like that skill difference, even from
Yeah,
my
it's just so,
level to people that are that much better than me. Like, sure, have I beat him before? Absolutely. Like, have I outran him before? Yeah. But like 9 times out of 10, you put me against him, and it's just like he's just gonna pull away from me. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna be sat there like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah. I mean, like, dude, like we've gone. What's it called? We've gone go karting.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
understand, dude. I'm like, I'm driving around the course. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm.
I feel like I'm
doing the
going
same
pretty
thing.
fast.
Yeah.
and
Going
then-
pretty fast, and this man gets like the weekly record or something. He's like lapping all of us. I'm like,
Yeah. I don't know. It's all like, even in something like go-karting, it's just about like hitting apexes in a
It's-
certain way,
it's so, like-
carrying speed. It's like,
it's small things that just like add up
yeah,
continuously.
yeah.
Man,
Especially
dude.
when you're talking about like 15-second laps.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, it's so many of those little minute details that can like gain you half a second, and the next thing you know, bam, like 2 seconds.
Yeah, and then like just keep adding up, and eventually
Yeah.
like a lot faster.
You mentioned that iRacing has been out for a really long time.
Yeah.
I looked it up. It released in 2008.
2008. Yeah.
Yeah.
First year competitively was like 2010. So
Yeah.
like it's been
Been competitive for 12 years.
12 years.
But I was wondering, like, how often do these games come out? Because this has obviously been around for a really long time and it's still the most popular.
Yeah. So NR 2003 came out. It was made by Papyrus, who like is like created. It's the engine that pretty much iRacing uses.
Mm-hmm.
That's its lifetime was like from 2003 up until 2008 when iRacing came out. Although it's still alive today. Like
What-
as
what is
crazy
this?
it is.
What is this?
It's called NASCAR Racing 2003.
Oh, okay.
It was a game made by Papyrus, who made iRacing back in 2003, back to like simulate the like NASCAR experience or somewhat. It's like basically an older iteration of this with like 2003 graphics that people have like revamped, and like you can still run it today. Like there's a bunch of mods and stuff for it. It's really, really cool community. iRacing came out in 2008, and it probably came out with like probably about 15 tracks and like 8 different cars. Now, what is it, 13, 14 years later, there's like 100 and something tracks, like at least 60 cars, and there's all these different series and stuff, and they're constantly going back, they're rescanning tracks, they're like revamping it, they're always like working on it to like make it better. So like you'll get,
so it's a live service game.
It's a live service game, so it's constantly being updated. Every 3 months they have a new build, pretty much. I mean, you've built in other games as well, but they'll release new tracks, they'll release revamped tracks. Like there was a track, Watkins Glen, which is up in New York, that got rescanned for the first time since like 2011. Like and there's different versions of tracks. Like the original Daytona is still on the service, but it's been updated like 3 or 4 times since then, because it's all about just like driving around the track, scanning it, and then they can emulate that in the game, of course, fix it up graphically to make it more accurate. But like, yeah, so it's constantly being updated. There's constantly different versions and newer versions of tracks. So like a track made in 2008 has been probably updated at least twice in its lifetime. So it's a live service. It's still going on. It's still evolving. And like it's kind of like Rainbow Six Siege in a way, where like it continues to just get bigger and bigger as time goes on. It's like aging like fine wine. Yeah. As much as like you ask like people like me, there's a lot of problems with the game that are disappointing. Like the way the track works, it's called dynamic track, it's just not realistic. And they have to like, the stuff they're doing is like patchwork almost. They really need to revamp it like in a way. But yeah, so it's, and even like the physics engine has evolved so much. Like there's different tire models, and like you look at a race from 2000 and even 17 on the old V4 tires. Like the fact that people are running all around the track, and you look at a race now and like now they have to go on this inside line to like be the fastest and stuff. So yeah, like it's evolved a lot. It's definitely a live service, and it doesn't look like that there's ever going to be an iRacing 2. It looks like it's going to continue to like evolve in this way.
And it stays up to date with all the current like NASCAR things.
Yeah, no. Normally, if there's anything big, like they're on it. Like the next gen cars, you were able to race in iRacing before they were ever raced in real life.
Oh wow! Okay.
Like they literally scanned the cars and kind of used like physics that they based on like how it tested, and they've of course been tweaking it over time. But they've seen what it's really like in real life. But yeah, like I remember when it was released like. It was like one of the first races back to NASCAR, and they had these next gen cars. They dropped them. It was like 9 o'clock on like a Saturday night in the middle of an actual NASCAR race, and I was able to go in, buy it, and start racing it.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, so yeah, it's like normally they have like all the top line stuff. Tracks sometimes if they get major changes, like it'll take some time because they got to rescan it and implement it and stuff. But like, yeah, for most of like the larger stuff, it's in there super fast.
Yeah. How much longer do you think iRacing is going to be around before the next game takes over?
I don't know. Like, I think that's a hard question, just because like of the new physics engines being developed. Like, when is there going to be something that's better? Assetto, of course, has been like its major competition for years, but like in the NASCAR industry, it's the best out there. Yeah. Like the NASCAR video games have completely fallen off a cliff, like to the point where like
it has a monopoly on it basically.
Yeah, and it's like all of these people that used to do these arcadier NASCAR games are coming to iRacing because their arcade games are so bad. Like it's gotten to the point where like the last ever since the NASCAR heat, so they've had 5 games since then. A new manufacturer took over this year, probably made the worst NASCAR game ever made, and like now they don't even have a contract for next year, so there's not gonna be a NASCAR game next year. It like if you want something new, you have to go to iRacing. So it's becoming almost a monopoly in the NASCAR industry. Unless you go back to older games like NR 2003, which the only reason why it's still alive is because it's free and it has all these mods for it. So like you can get on and race online with your friends, as janky as it is, from 2003, and it still works.
Do you have any experience with the F1 games?
Yes, I've always done the F1 games. Those are like...
Would you call that more of a simulation or more of a game?
That's a really hard question because like, I don't know what like an F1 car drives like. But like,
yeah, that's fair.
There are certainly aspects, because there is an F1 car in iRacing, and I know people that have raced the F1 car in iRacing and also done like F1, like the F1 video games, and they're like, they're so different, but at the same time, it's like, you can't tell which one's more realistic.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely F1's made to be arcadier, but there's a lot you can do within it to like, you can still have that top level competition. Like there is an F1 esports where like all the teams compete. I've seen like videos of it and stuff. Like Jarno Opmeer's like the biggest guy over there. He just won the championship again, and I've watched him for years. But yeah, there is an esports industry. It's not quite the industry that iRacing has, because iRacing's main, they have like a couple different pro levels, like in each like category, like your dirt cars, your NASCARs, your like road cars and stuff. So they have like a pro level that's like for like Formula One type cars, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head if it's like a bigger pool on F1 or bigger pool there.
I mean, they're set up differently because iRacing is a subscription, right?
Yeah.
And then these F1 games
Like
release every year.
Purchase,
But it's every year.
Yeah, it's yearly. Yeah, like they still have a really good competitive industry. So like you can still have competitive industries on arcade games. It's just like it's harder to like create a game that's not only marketed to consumer but marketed to like these pros as well. Yeah, which is something iRacing's done well, and Formula One's actually done a really good job. It's like,
do you know what these Formula One racers use for sims? Because I know like I think Lando's gone on sims before.
Yeah, so Lando streams, like he'll stream.
I've seen him before.
Stuff. Yeah, like him, Max Verstappen.
Oh, so he does use iRacing though.
Yeah, he uses iRacing. Max Verstappen, who was the champion last year, has been like on iRacing before. He's done like 24-hour events and stuff. They both stream. They're both good friends, which is pretty cool. It's like you can watch both of them. Lando's bigger, of course, in like streaming and stuff. Driver from McLaren, by the way, who's I don't know, he's like top 8 in points or something. I think he's done well this year.
Is Ricciardo still with McLaren?
Yeah.
Okay.
Him and Ricciardo. Yeah, but they have their own, like, that's like, again, there's like different stages of setups. There's like my setup where it's like taped to a table. There's these like motion rigs and stuff, which there's rigs without motion, there's rigs with motion. And then you get to these like what these manufacturers have, these like F1 teams where it's like, I don't know, like 100-inch TVs, like rounded and stuff, with the most accurate motion rigs you can have, VR headsets, where it's like probably a like $50,000 setup, where mine is like a $250 wheel. Like literal $50,000 setups that these guys use and to like test the cars and the physics of the cars, and manufacturers have this as well. They're like actual simulations, and that's what like iRacing trying to emulate in a consumer way. So yeah, no, they like it's like professional. I don't know, like actual tests and stuff, like test cars and run laps and like get used to the track. They use like their own technology. Yeah, but it's like iRacing is like the
I guess
consumer way.
If you're competing like if you're being competitive about it and stuff, in real life, like these top racers, I guess you'd want the most realistic setup that you can get, so that it would translate better. Yeah.
Well, you can't use those kind of setups on iRacing. They have like their own database and stuff. Like I don't know enough of how it works because it's very
like new.
It's very secretive almost, and it's new. Like they don't want other people getting what they have because like it's how they prepare for races. It's how they like test setups and stuff. So it's totally not marketable, not consumer based, but like these setups that they have, it's like it just shows the grand spectrum that you can go from something like just hanging out, driving around with my friends, like playing Forza, to like all the way on the other spectrum where these guys like literally use these setups like tens of thousands of dollars to emulate what is going to happen that weekend on the racetrack so they can best prepare themselves.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I mean,
I think we covered all our points.
Yeah.
All right.
And I don't really think we can really talk about any games that are like super. What's it called? Like recommend a game that's like.
Oh yeah. I think that's probably about it.
Probably.
All right. Thank you for coming on, Jonah.
Thank you for having me. This is
you
fun.
were a great guest. Thank you guys for tuning into the last episode of the Rundown.
How sad.
Yeah, I'd say we'll see you next time, but we probably won't. So, signing off.